Good evening to you, our viewers. This is Camnet News. Thank you so much for choosing us. My name is Sharon Kalimbula. The top stories on our desk this evening: government denies abandoning its promises as citizens lament over the hike in fuel prices. The UPND alliance justifies deepening wrangles. And the Patriotic Front charges that the UPND is not ready to serve the people. In international news, Rwanda making groundwater safe and accessible to the locals. In sports news, SPURS boss Antonio Conte doubts Champions League qualification.
On Monday, 4th April 2022, on National Matters, join Pastor Moses Chiluba as he hosts former Secretary to Cabinet, Ambassador Leslie Mbula. Don't miss as they discuss the civil service in Zambia.
Invite others to participate through phoning on Skype, Zoom, WhatsApp and text messages. Make a date with us. Camnet TV, not just another channel.
Once again, thank you for choosing us. The news in detail. Former Foreign Affairs Minister under the Patriotic Front administration Joseph Malangi and former Secretary to the Treasury Fred Sonyamba have pleaded not guilty before the Lusaka Magistrate Court to 5 counts of corrupt charges. In this case, the duo is jointly charged with 5 counts of willful failure to comply with the law and in possession of property suspected to be proceeds of crime. Mr. Yamba is accused of allocating and authorizing the transfer of over 100 million kwacha to the Zambian mission account in Turkey for the procurement of real estate, while Mr. Malangi is accused of possessing a jet helicopter believed to be a proceed of crime.
As if the legal battles of challenging the decision by the Lusaka High Court to nullify his Kwacha constituency parliamentary election is not enough, former Foreign Affairs Minister Joseph Malangi is yet again back in court, this time around before the Lusaka's Magistrate Court, to answer to corruption charges allegations slapped against him. Mr. Malangi, who appeared before court Friday morning together with his co-accused, former Secretary to the Treasurer Fred Sonyamba, are facing 5 counts of willful failure to comply with the law and possession of properties suspected to be proceeds of crime. When the matter came up for allocation and plea, the duo pleaded not guilty to the said allegations before Lusaka Principal Magistrate Jennifer Walia. In the first count, the state accuses Mr. Yamba of allocating and authorizing the transfer of over 100 million kwacha to the Zambian mission account in Turkey for the procurement of real estate without following the law. In the second count, the accused is also said to have allegedly allocated and authorized the transfer of 45.8 million kwacha to the said Zambia mission account. While in the 3 last count relates to Mr. Malangi, who is said to have on dates unknown, but between January 1st, 2020 and August 31st, 2021, in Lusaka, jointly and whilst acting together with other persons unknown, possessed a helicopter, property reasonably suspected to be proceeds of crime. In the other count, Mr. Malangi is accused of possessing Gibson Royal Hotel property also believed to be proceeds of crime. The said offences are contrary to Section 71(1) of the Forfeiture of Proceeds of Crime Act No. 19 of 2020 of the laws of Zambia. Miriam Kaimba reporting for Camnet TV News.
Opposition Patriotic Front Acting President Given Luwinda has charged that the United Party for National Development administration is not here to offer its service to the people, but steal an opportunity of doing business. Speaking shortly at the Lusaka Magistrate Court grounds when he went to offer solidarity to PF Media Chairperson Raphael Nakachinda, Mr. Luwinda says the current administration has no intention of serving the people of Zambia, but looking at the current economic situation. Meanwhile, Mr. Luwinda disclosed that the PF is building itself into becoming the only alternative political party in the country by the year 2026. Earlier, Lusaka Magistrate Jennifer Bwalia adjourned the case where PF Media Chairperson for Publicity Raphael Nakachinda is accused of defaming President Hakainde Hichilema following the state's failure to prosecute the matter. Miriam Kaimba once again filed this report.
Friday morning, the Lusaka's Magistrate Court was observed to be packed with opposition Patriotic Front cases when PF member Dr. Chishimba Kambri, who had gone to hear his alleged defamation of the president case against the former president Edgar Lungu, bumped into PF Media Chairperson for Publicity Raphael Nakachinda, who is also accused of defamation of the president. Coming back to Mr. Nakachinda's case, where he's accused of defaming the Republican President Hakainde Hichilema, drama characterized the turn of events Friday morning as the state failed to prosecute the case following challenges to lead its witness, a journalist from Crown TV. A situation that saw Lusaka Magistrate Jennifer Bwalia give the case an early adjournment to allow the state to put its house in order. This is in a matter in which Mr. Nakachinda is facing one count of defamation of the president, contrary to the laws of Zambia. He is alleged to have accused the head of state of summoning judges at his private residence, intimidating and coercing them to frustrate PF legal battles. And speaking shortly after his appearance, Mr. Nakachinda says there is need to ensure the principle of separation of power is enhanced.
There's a commitment, a radical commitment to defend our democracy. Obviously, to ensure that the principle of separation of powers is enhanced. The silver line between the executive, the judiciary, the legislature, which is parliament, should never be eroded.
Meanwhile, acting PF President Given Lubinda had this comment.
This is all because they have an insatiable appetite for business. The people who are governing this country today are not service people, they are business people. They are into this for business. This is more the reason why when Zambia is capable of growing its own poles for electricity, they go and contract foreign companies. They want to externalize dollars from Zambia to go to Zimbabwe and South Africa. And they say that they are thinking about Zambia. They are not concerned about the welfare of Zambians. These Zambians, you must know. Praise singers, time has come for you to also be realistic. Don't just go about singing praises without you understanding that on a daily basis the cost of living for you too is getting more and more expensive. Let us wake up, Zambians.
He further disclosed that the PF is building itself to ensure that it becomes the only alternative political party.
To even say we're regrouping is not correct. What we're doing is building. We're building ourselves to become the only alternative in this country. And there is no question about it. Look at how all the promises have been broken. All of them. I said once, please, if indeed we store 3 kwacha on a price of fuel of 15 kwacha, now that the price of fuel is 26 kwacha today, can you tell me who is stealing the 11 kwacha? Tell us who is stealing the 11 kwacha now that the price of fuel is 26 kwacha. And by the way, if you look at the international price of fuel today, there is no justification whatsoever for the fuel in Zambia to cost 26 kwacha.
Miriam Kaimba, reporting for Camnet TV News.
Vice President Mutale Nalumango says government has not abandoned its promise to reduce the cost of living and fuel price as people lament over the currently revised fuel prices. The Energy Regulation Board adjusted petroleum products by 4 kwacha 54 ngwe per litre for petrol and 4 kwacha 68 ngwe per litre for diesel, while kerosene has been adjusted by 3 kwacha 93 ngwe. And some members of the general public have told Camnet News that the fluctuating fuel prices are negatively affecting their lives. Those interviewed by Camnet TV News say the cost of living is already high, thus wondering how they will survive in the wake of the anticipated increase of prices of essential commodities. Details in this report.
They understand that the cost of living is too high. Vintu vadula. Every week, mitengo ya vintu ichinja. Every week. Manje masalari yama chinja every week. Yeah. Salary anchor constant for a year. If you are lucky, once in a year you have an increment. But mitengo ikwela every week. Banga kale banji bantu, banga konze banji manyumba, banga sunge banji banja. Vikwati bayamba kuonongeka.
Agony, discomfort, agitation and disappointment has engulfed many Zambians in the wake of the fuel hike by the Energy Regulation Board, ERB, prompting many Zambians to think they misunderstood President Hakainde Hichilema when he assured cheap fuel and 3 meals a day during the August 12 general election campaign trail.
Names are Piri Jaffet. Issue of fuel, it has just gone too much high, and we don't expect the economy to pick up in this way because fuel is the key of everything. When fuel goes high, even our local foods will be higher, especially our staple food will be higher, milling will go high, everything has to go high. And even ourselves with transport here, it has become difficult to be charging people like 10 kwacha. Some of them are refusing.
We were many issues that for that we fakira of people then want to close them ranka ni wakape kujaira ma new prices.
Ofupa fupa fakira na 1 year kabokwana bagram kana ni katatu kana kabiri. So feel if let me dandalo kuchefiro maningi cha.
The ERB has adjusted petroleum products by 4 kwacha 54 ngwe per litre for petrol and 4 kwacha 68 ngwe per litre for diesel, while kerosene has been adjusted by 3 kwacha 93 ngwe. The major direct consequence is the increase in transport, given that the majority poor Zambians depend on the public transport, which is in the hands of the private sector. And before the new prices are announced, the burden has already been shifted to commuters. Negotiations for a minimum fee have done nothing but subject commuters to embarrassment with an available option of walking, thus hindering productivity.
About the fuel, so they're asking about 5 kwacha here. So as here, as a taxi driver, the fuel up has been high.
So how much are you now charging?
Yeah, we have just, because the fuel has gone high, it's about 10 kwacha. So first also, we have increased the price.
But the customers are refusing?
Yeah, some they're complaining, like these ones also, they're asking about 5 kwachas. So as, for instance, we are, you know, on the port, yeah? On the port about 4. As taxi drivers, we carry about 4 people. Okay, now if you go on this side, here from here coming to it's about 2.5 kilometers. Okay, now for us to make the profit, there's no profit. So we have just decided to increase about 10 kwacha 1 capacity.
In Batod, Kabushi constituency, lawmaker Bowman Rusambo shared his views on the subject of fuel.
He failed to buy the 5.5 kg bag of minimum. Even the Kapamela he was condemning, and that cooking oil was condemning. People can't afford even Pamela today. We talked about climate change. Hakainde Hichilema and the UPND, they started laughing at us. No, you have just failed. There's nothing like that. There's no climate change. There's no global warming. It's just all excuse. They even went further to condemn us on COVID-19, if you recall very well. How can we agree today that all these increments which we are seeing in fuel, it's because of Russia-Ukraine conflict?
During the Vice President question time, Ms. Nalmango made the following remarks.
The promises were extremely genuine, and we will strive to make the lives of Zambians better. Yes, it increased yesterday, but for us, it is as a result of external factors upon which we have no control.
The fuel increase translates into a rise in the price of essential commodities, hence the need to identify coping remedies. Patrick Soko, Camnet News in Lusaka.
Interesting views there. Still on that topic of fuel, the Golden Party of Zambia has charged that the upward adjustment of fuel pump prices announced by the Energy Regulation Board will further sentence more of the people into poverty and economic hardships. Party President Jackson Silabwe notes that government has shown no plan to deal with this matter even before external influence like the war in Ukraine and Russia. He has accused the UPND administration of running away from critical thinking by choosing a non-reaction mode. Mr. Silabwe has therefore called on President Hakainde Hichilema to address the nation and announce homegrown alternative interventions to stabilize the economy and markets in both the short, medium and long term.
We want to say that there is something that can be done locally to make sure that we stabilize the economy as well as the business environment. We've seen presidents, including the President of the United States of America yesterday. He addressed the nation and put up measures to ensure that the US economy is stable. We've seen also other presidents and prime ministers in Europe also doing the same. I think the president should address the nation where he's going to put up local intervention measures to what is currently obtaining on the market. It is not enough to just say nothing can be done. There's always something that can be done. As a party, we've proposed before that can we increase spending power to the workers at household level so that people can be able to spend more and meet the high cost of living. We can do that. We can set up a committee of high-level management experts to look into these issues and make appropriate recommendations to the government. One of the things also the government can do is to review the cost of doing business in the country. I think it's abnormal that in the face of reduced production, by businesses, that we still maintain the very taxes that are prevalent when the economy is doing very well. So there is a lot that can be done by the government if they really listen to the people and what the people are saying.
Meanwhile, energy expert Johnston Chukwanda says there is need for the finalization of a strategic petroleum reserve which will speak to the fuel challenges. Speaking when he featured on Camnet Breakfast Show Friday, Mr. Chukwanda says the country has the capacity to stockpile fuel, but that the strategic fuel fund in the country has been wiped out. The energy expert, however, says the current increase in the fuel pump price was inevitable considering the happenings locally and on the global market.
In 2020 now, coming to 2021, what did we see? When there was almost nothing now that you can remove to reduce it, to manage. Government went in there now, suspended customs duty, 25% suspended, because the price then wanted to shoot up by 25%. As though that was not enough, pressure built again to increase. Government went in again in the price template, suspended VAT, 16%. If you add 16% plus 25%, this is already 41% tax. Then, as if it was not enough, the pressure went up again to increase the price. Then again, government went in there and suspended excise duty. So, as things stand, if you compute that excise duty, 16% VAT, 25% customs duty, you are talking of total taxes suspended almost in the range of about 45%. They are not in that price. So, these taxes were supposed to come back at the beginning of January. In January this year, they were supposed to be integrated back, but the pump prices were going to shift by more than 41% just by integrating them back. And the new government decided to extend that relief to the general public by extending those waivers to end of June. So they are not there. If those taxes were there, today we should be talking of around 35 kwacha per litre, if those taxes were.
The United Party for National Development Alliance has warned that those who seek to go to the media to resolve internal problems, ignoring internal structures, must refrain from such shortcomings going forward. UPND Alliance spokesperson Daniel Shimonza says with time, voices will arise to promote a selfish agenda, but that the alliance has resolved to remain united and support President Hakainde Hichilema until in an unlikely event where all options have been exhausted. Meanwhile, All People's Congress Party President Nelson Msoni, in a statement availed to the alliance, says he cannot leave the UPND alliance and that President Hakainde Hichilema remains the safest bearer of hand to help chart the country forward.
Alliance political parties in Zambia have in a long time failed to stand the test of time due to mainly political anger. 28th March 2022, a voice note of All People's Congress Party President Nelson Musoni, who is also part of the UPND alliance, was circulated on social media where he lamented that the alliance will not stand a test of time because President Hakainde Hichilema has not been considering the alliance members in his appointments. The UPND alliance, at a media briefing held in Lusaka, has warned that the isolated voices of those who seek a personal agenda rather than the collective resolve to put the Zambian people ahead of self risk losing the collective force of destiny of a shared greatness.
And countrymen, it is in this spirit that all matters related to the sentiments, sound bites, and videos, and the like circulations on social media are resolved by this Council of Presidents and will be resolved in any future events through the right channels of our internal procedures, processes, and in-house framework rules. Those who seek to go to the media to resolve our problems first, ignoring internal structures, must refrain from such shortcuts going forward.
Mr. Shimunza adds that all alliance partners are still united, more solid and persuaded. He says Mr. Musoni has apologized for his sentiments and that he remains part of the alliance.
President Musoni himself would have been here, but he is currently hospitalized. And that is why I'm going to read later on his own statement, and it will be given to you in your individual capacities as media houses. 4, I dismiss the political assertion that I have left the UPND alliance, or the notion that the alliance is now dead, which was not what I said.
And when asked about the Zambia Must Prosper newly registered political party by Kelvin Wadafure, who is also part of the alliance, Mr. Shimunza had this to say.
There is no official communication that has come from Zambia Must Prosper to the effect that they are not part of the alliance. There's been all kinds of assertions, speculations, and so forth. But from where we stand as the alliance partners, no such communication has come to us. So we cannot work on hearsay or social media circulations about those issues. As far as we are concerned, KBF and Zambia Must Prosper is still part of this alliance until as and when such communication has.
Meanwhile, the alliance partners are confident that the current happenings in the economy are temporal and that President Hichilema will fix the Zambian economy.
PF regime, the PF government did not take care of the citizens properly. You and me, we know very well to say we are being beaten in the morning, at breakfast, at lunch, and at supper. And we are being abused in every area without even, rather with the impunity, which was very, very unfortunate.
Seen even the appointments which President HH has done is to bring the unity of this nation. There's no doubt. There's no comparison whatsoever with the previous appointments. Those were shameful.
Prudence Chota, reporting for Camnet TV News.
In other news, the New Heritage Party has urged newly appointed commissioners at the Human Rights Commission to investigate various human rights violations, mainly instituted by political party cadres. Party Secretary General Edwin Zulu says this will serve as a warning to would-be offenders and send sound advice to the authority. Mr. Zulu says the country still has many human rights concerns, including the slow pace at which cases are being handled, starting with the police stations to the courts. President Hakainde Hichilema on Monday appointed human rights commissioners, among them Alliance for Community Action Executive Director Laura Medi.
In prisons, not many have been visited by these lawyers or these human rights to see the conditions that they are living at. And also, we in the community or in the compounds and Kumayadi have also not been attended to because we fear to go to these people because we don't know maybe our rights, so to speak. So we want also the human rights to actually delve into the Bill of Rights, freedom of association, assembly, movement, right to privacy, because it seems like some people that are tasked to do this work abuse people or do it overzealously, so to speak. And so these human rights commissioners must be on the ground, not only workshops in towns or in hotels, but they must come to the ground, they must come to the compounds and to speak to it, see to it, and that these issues are done well and people's grievances are addressed to them.
Education Minister Douglas Siakalima has warned that corruption, nepotism and political patronage will not be condoned in the recruitment process of teachers. Mr. Siakalima recounted that most of the people employed as teachers, clinical officers and nurses in most public institutions are unqualified. Mr. Siakalima explains that a combined investigation by the Examination Council of Zambia and the Zambia Police revealed that most of them do not have grade 12 certificates. Meanwhile, Mr. Siakalima has revealed that the Ministry of Education will be annually recruiting teachers to address the pupil-teacher ratio.
Recently, the Teaching Service Commission, working with the Ministry of Education and other relevant stakeholders, embarked on the process to clean up the sector. The process involved a crackdown on irregularities and sorting out teachers who have reached retirement age and pave way to new ones and upgrade deserving teachers. And Friday, 3rd April 2022, Minister of Education Douglas Siakalima unveiled a roadmap for the recruitment of 30,000 teachers as enshrined in the 2022 national budget. It says in order to allow for transparency and accountability, the Zambia Postal Services ZAMPOST will capture all applications received and create a database effective 5th April 2022 and conclude the delivery by 15th April 2022.
A series of engagements were conducted, and by the 28th November 2021, ZAMPOST agreed on the modalities to be used during the 2022 recruitment in order to ensure impartiality in the receipt and delivery of applications using an electronic system, and at the same time hard copies to be delivered to the DEPS officers.
Mr. Siakalima also outlined how the teachers will be recruited.
1,500 senior secondary school subjects teachers. 2, 26,597 primary school class teachers and junior secondary school subjects teachers. And 3, 1,903 early childhood education teachers. This is against a backdrop of 1,807 recruited early childhood teachers in the last 10 years. 1,903 this year, against the backdrop of 1,807 recruited in 10 years. That gives you an average of 180 every year. Just once, 1,903 for us.
He says he will not tolerate nepotism and corruption, adding that those with fake results must stay away from the recruitment process.
Effective learning to take place in a classroom, there should be a teacher. It is for this reason that the New Dawn government puts emphasis on having adequate teachers in schools, especially schools in rural areas. Providing quality and lifelong accessible, equitable and relevant education for all is at the heart of the New Dawn government. Education is an equalizer, hence the need to provide quality and equitable education. As such, the recruitment of 30,000 teachers will invariably create opportunities for all citizens of this country who are expected to reach their full potential.
The names of successive candidates will be published on the 17th and 18th May 2022. Patrick Soko, Camnet News in Lusaka.
Meanwhile, government has responded to concerns raised by the timber traders on the need to lift the export ban on timber. On Thursday, timber dealers in Lusaka appealed to government through the Ministry of Green Economy and Environment to lift the export ban on timber, stating that the situation is negatively affecting their businesses. And Vice President Mutalina Lumango says auditing of Zambia's forests is almost complete, and that the government will soon start issuing licenses for timber exports. Patrick Soko once again filed this report.
Parliament, Friday, 1st April 2022, adjourned sine die After that, the House proceeded to wind up business of the day. During the Vice President question time, a number of questions were posed. Timber dealers Thursday told Camnet TV News that the export ban has negatively affected their business, thus calling on the government to rescind its decision to continue imposing an export ban on timber.
The problem that is affecting the market prices because the government hasn't started issuing export permits. And when there are no export permits, meaning the Chinese, who are main buyers, about 90% of our buyers are Chinese. So they are not exporting due to government not issuing the same export permits. Now it has really affected us as timber suppliers, because we can't sell as we expect. Nothing, we're not doing anything, because you can imagine all these trucks you are seeing here, some of them, they have been here for 4 days.
As timber dealers, we're actually suffering. We go in the bush and spend over 100,000 concerning these timbers. But coming here, it's total loss. Looking at the transportation, the diesel is expensive. Mumpanga, the production licenses, everything is expensive. So we are appealing to the government. We want Mr. HH to look into this matter.
The timber dealers must be relieved, considering that Zambezi East Member of Parliament Brian Kambita asked the question on their behalf.
People of Northwestern and the people of Western and many other parts are asking questions. When is the government going to allow the export of timber so that these people will also achieve what they had actually started in terms of improving their livelihood?
And in response, Vice President Mutale Nalumango, the auditing of Zambia's forests is almost complete, and the government will soon start issuing licenses for timber exports.
At the end of the audit, which is almost done, it is our belief that there will be lifting of, in fact, there was no suspension. There will be issuance of licenses so that people can participate. For Mukula, we still have a bit of work to do. But we also, I want to say this in the forestry industry, that we are working on harmonizing the act so that we can do a good job.
And in another development, Local Government and Rural Development Minister Garin Kombo made some clarification on the soft loans to be given under the Constituency Development Fund regarding the issue of interest to be paid.
There was no interest charged on it. Madam, I wish now to correct the position by stating that the soft loans, under the soft loans, there is a 5% minimal simple interest charged. This is for the purpose of covering the administrative costs of the managers of the loan facilities. I wish to further remind the honorable members of Parliament in this August House that these empowerment funds are meant for seed money that is expected to be used for investment purposes and are supposed to be paid back.
Patrick Soko, Camnet News in Lusaka.
The Zambia Congress of Trade Unions has charged that there is urgent need to provide credible checks and balances to the government to ensure that policies and the provisions of public goods are appropriately distributed. Speaking to the coalition planning meeting held in Lusaka Friday, ZCTU Secretary General Cosmas Mukoka says government's policies and regulations must be checked and be responsive to the needs of the people through effective stakeholder involvement. Mr. Mukoka says a coalition between the union and civil society is aimed at seeking to ensure social, economic and political development for the good of the greater society.
Our intention, ladies and gentlemen, like that, as a coalition, to provide strong checks and balances to ensure that policies and the provisions of public goods are appropriately distributed. We want government policies and regulations to be checked, to answer to the people's aspirations, especially through effective consultations and the stakeholder involvement. It is imperative that non-state actors have a powerful voice because we want to promote accountability and transparency. Especially this collision which is happening for the first time in Zambia, where you have been tasked to provide a roadmap.
You're watching Camnet News. We take our first set of commercials. Stay with us.
Savenda. Save nations, develop Africa. Connecting African countries to each other and connecting the African continent to the world. This logistics and global supply chain management group offers end-to-end solutions across all sectors of the economy: agriculture, energy, telecommunications, finance, construction, transportation, and insurance. And now, its initiatives are greener than ever, operating in line with government guidelines and working to provide energy security for Zambia and beyond. 25 companies united under one group and one vision. Savenda. Trade and logistics made easy.
Team, the trajectory of the business looks very positive, and it looks like we'll be able to launch the country.
There's so much data.
Mom? Yes, baby?
It says here, global warming and climate change is caused by the pollution from careless activities of human beings.
Wow! Son, do you know I can turn my phone into a TV remote?
How's that possible?
It's so easy. Check this out.
Be smart, be fast with mega data from Zamtel. Get your 15 GB mobile data for only 100 kwacha, 30 GB mobile data for only 200 kwacha, and your 70 GB LTE data bundle with free Netflix, YouTube, Facebook, and WhatsApp. Visit our Facebook page, website, or service centers countrywide for more information. Zamtel, your digital lifestyle partner.
On Monday, 4th April 2022 on National Matters, join Pastor Moses Chiluba as he hosts former Secretary to Cabinet, Ambassador Leslie Mbula. Don't miss as they discuss the civil service in Zambia.
Invite others to participate through phoning on Skype, Zoom, WhatsApp, and text messages. Make a date with us. Camnet TV, not just another channel.
Welcome back. Thank you for staying on. Just Cause Foundation, a United States-based non-governmental organization, has called for collaborative efforts from stakeholders to address the plight of orphan children in Zambia who still lack many basic human rights. Speaking when handing over a $35,000 United States dollars boarding house for 44 orphaned children in 15 Miles area Chiwambo district, Dr. Daniel Brunner says there is need to put Christianity to practice by coming to the aid of the vulnerable. And Dream Genesis Church Pastor Dr. Francis Miles says the church, working together with the foundation, will soon construct a school next to the boarding house to shorten the distance that these children will have to walk in order to access education.
About 1.2 million children in Zambia have no place to call home as they have been orphaned, according to the United Nations International Children's Emergency Fund, UNICEF. Many of these lack access to basic human rights such as decent food and shelter due to their situation. Despite there being many orphanages in the country, most of these are struggling to run efficiently due to limited funding. A United States-based non-governmental organization has, however, called on Christians to actualize their beliefs by offering food and shelter to these orphans. Just Cause Foundation board member Dr. David Brunner was speaking when handing over a boarding house valued at $35,000 United States dollars, which will accommodate 44 orphans in 15 miles area of Chiwombo district. A group of 6 widows has been identified to act as caregivers to the children.
The orphanage, where they came from, the conditions that they were living in compared to the conditions that they're living in now is night and day. It's absolutely a beautiful thing that's been done here on this amazing piece of property out in this beautiful part of the country. We're so pleased, and to be able to report back to our board members and to those who've donated to Just Cause Foundation. We have nothing but the highest regards for everything. All of the money that has been donated and has been spent has been scrupulously went over. It has been done with the highest integrity, and we couldn't be more pleased with what we see.
Meanwhile, Dream Genesis Church pastor Dr. Francis Mouse and his wife Camilla Mouse said the next step is to build a school, which is expected to be complete by August of 2022.
What you see behind you is our first of many that we want to do in Zambia with our donors in the US and other nations that we are galvanizing, and the dream has now become a reality. This is now Just Cause Children's Home, the first one. The second one will be much bigger, to accommodate 500 children, 250 girls, 250 boys in Mumbwa, where we have bought 200 hectares. So we're just honored by the people of Zambia who have been praying for us, and the people in America who have been giving us some of the resources for us to be able to do what we're doing.
They don't have any uniforms, so we were able to create uniforms like this to give them a sense of belonging. So all of the children of Just Cause Foundation will have uniforms, so that will give them a sense of belonging, a sense of that I belong to something, and a spirit of excellence in their heart. So this is why we have developed this under Just Cause Foundation, this uniform.
In adding the voice of the widows, CAFA Widows, Orphans and Vulnerable Persons Organization overseer Ms. Grace Lutanda has called on destitute widows to be innovative and find means of earning a living. The handover ceremony was graced by various individuals, among them the church, community members, and traditional leadership in the area. Zipporah Mshala, Camnet News.
Ministry of Community Development and Social Services Permanent Secretary Beatrice Dako says the ministry is currently working on ensuring that the country has disability child-friendly infrastructure. Speaking during the launch of the 2022-2024 strategic plan for Zambia by Save the Children Zambia International Thursday evening, Ms. Dako also revealed that the UPND administration is currently working on harmonizing all child policies in the country. Meanwhile, Save the Children Zambia Director, Programs and Development, Annie Hoban, says nutrition concerns among children have gone high since the outbreak of the COVID-19 due to loss of income sources for parents, hence the need to address the problem urgently.
According to latest data from Save the Children International Zambia, 53% of Zambia's population is made up of children under the age of 18. Changes in climate and other economic hardships brought about by the coronavirus, however, have increased vulnerabilities for most of these children. The Ministry of Community Development and Social Services says children in Zambia still experience child labor, high poverty levels and early marriages, matters which need urgent attention. Speaking during the 2022-2024 strategic plan for Zambia by Save the Children International, Ministry of Community Development and Social Services Permanent Secretary Ms. Beatrice Dako says it is in this vein that the UPND administration is working on harmonizing all child policies in Zambia. It's putting up child-friendly disability infrastructure.
Government remains dedicated oriented towards attaining survival protection, development, and participation rights of children for them to realize their full potential. This is being done through the following measures being put in place. Domestication of the provisions of the Convention on the Rights of the Child and other international treaties to which Zambia is a state party. Expediting the enactment and implementation of the Children's Code Bill, which will harmonize all pieces of legislation on children in Zambia. And let me just mention that this afternoon, the bill was presented for the second reading in Parliament. Review of policies which have a bearing on children so as to make them more responsive to the needs of children. These include the National Child Policy, National Social Protection Policy, and the National Gender Policy, among others. Implementation of the re-entry policy that allows girls who fall pregnant while in school to continue with their education after they are given birth.
Meanwhile, Save the Children International Zambia Director Program Quality and Development, Ms. Annie Hoban, says there is need to address nutrition concerns in children, which remain high.
We feel we need to operate and work to have impact for children. And so all the work we do under this new strategic plan will rest on these two pillars. First of all, child-centered design and advocacy to increase children's voice and agency. And I want to say, haven't we been doing this the whole time? People ask us that. But children themselves were their best advocate. You've heard all of them say, no matter what topic they were speaking on today, we need to be part, fundamentally, of decision-making. And you inviting us to participate in things here and there, it's good, but it's not enough. We need to have roles, we need to have spaces, we need to have mechanisms that are actually embedded, in schools, in communities, in structures, so that we can have that voice and a platform to have a voice, whether you Save the Children are here or not. And that's what we really want to work towards with our government partners, children and others. We also want to work to ensure that children co-design programming with us and that we give them spaces to have their voices heard directly on issues that matter to them. We've worked a lot with the media, with local media, with Children's Media Network, with national media, and we're going to continue to do that to ensure that children have those spaces and tools to have their voices heard directly and change the narrative.
The strategic plan was put together through the consultation of partners such as the Church and the Media Rights Network on Child Rights and Development, among others. Zipporah Mshala, Camnet News, Lusaka.
Government has underscored the need for skilled human resource in the implementation of projects and programs in the water sector. Speaking when he graced the Skills Day Friday, Ministry of Water Development and Sanitation Permanent Secretary Joe Kalusa says human resource will play a crucial role in attaining the Water and Sanitation for All Vision 2030. Meanwhile, Ministry of Science and Technology has launched a long and short circular in water supply and sanitation,
with the aim of bringing the water and sanitation employers and skilled providers together to exchange knowledge on skills and labor market needs. The Skills Advisory Group in Water Supply and Sanitation Secretariat has Friday, April 1st, 2022, held its Skills Day. Speaking when he graced the event, Ministry of Water Development and Sanitation Permanent Secretary Joe Kalusa notes that human resource will play a crucial role in attaining the Water and Sanitation for All Vision 2030.
Have enhanced their skill and yet do not have formal qualifications. Ladies and gentlemen, in order to solve the aforementioned challenges faced by the sector, there is need for concerted efforts from various stakeholders involved in skills development, hence the setting up of the Skills Advisory Group's innovative approaches.
Meanwhile, Ministry of Science and Technology has launched a long and short curricula in water supply and sanitation under TVETA. On behalf of the ministry, Permanent Secretary Dr. Brilliant Abenzo gave the remarks.
In industry, so that the skills being offered by vocational education institutions matches with skills being demanded by the industry. However, for some time now, there has been an outcry from industry that curricula in the water and sanitation sector were not meeting all the requirements of the market. TVETA, through its curriculum development unit, has responded to overcome this challenge by adopting a curriculum development process and review system which is more inclusive by involving both industry and training providers.
The delegates later toured the exhibitions by various institutions in the water sector.
The pump to lift the water up. So if the impellers are damaged by the radius, it didn't put the foot valve, which means the pump won't operate nicely. So hence we have to put the foot valve. Then we have a T-junction in case the water that you are separating, in case here, my water system, I'm trying to split it to other sectors. I'll use a T-junction to complete my circuit.
In attendance was representative for Germany Development Corporation, National Water Supply and Sanitation Council, NWASCO, and other institutions' representatives. Alex Shimba, Camnet News, in Lusaka.
In other news, an agriculture extension officer in Monza district has appealed to government to continue using the direct input support modality to supply agricultural inputs under the Farmer Input Support Program. Manungu A. Camp Agriculture Extension Officer Constance Banda told the National Agriculture Information Services in Monza that the use of electronic voucher has a lot of price fluctuations on an upswing, thereby disadvantaging the farmers. Mrs. Banda further says the direct input support enables farmers to collect the exact number of bags and seed allocated to a farmer without reducing the number of bags. And the beneficiary, Rabson Chinyama, also said the direct input support is a better mode of distributing inputs to farmers under the Farmer Input Support Program. Nais has more on this.
The way it was this season, every farmer was getting 6 bags and 10 kg of seed. That was well known. Now with e-voucher, the problem was with agro dealers. You find that maybe in the morning, farmers will get maybe 4 bags and a seed. By late afternoon, the agro dealer will just say, no, prices have been increased, so you get 2 bags or 3 bags. So there's that uncertainty in terms of pricing with the agro dealers.
We accessed fertilizer in varying quantities under the electronic voucher. Others collected 3 bags from agro dealers, while others collected 4 and still others collected 2. This meant the voucher was exhausted.
You're still watching Camnet News. We take another set of commercials. When we return, we have sports and international news.
Your skin is the biggest muscle in your body. That's why we make sure that Oracle is #1 when it comes to taking care of your precious skin. Oracle Pure Petroleum Jelly and Glycerin soothes, moisturizes and keeps your skin perfect. Oracle Pure Petroleum products for that perfect skin.
We welcome you to the wonderful world of Savenda Electronics.
At Savenda Electronics, we pride ourselves in manufacturing high-quality electricity and water meters.
Boasting of the first of its kind state-of-the-art manufacturing plant in Zambia, Savenda Electronics manufactures customized smart electricity and water meters of international standards for both the local and international water and electricity utility companies. Our highly computerized factory, run by qualified staff, makes, calibrates, and electronically tests the smart meters to ensure only those meeting customer specifications are delivered to the market. Some of the main features which come with our meters includes notifications about low units, tempering, low battery, and many more customized features. Savenda Electronics provides on and off-site after-sales service and has favorable contract terms for water and electricity utility companies. Savenda Electronics, the real deal.
Camnet TV is becoming big and better. You can now watch Camnet TV wherever you are around the world, simply by downloading the Camnet TV app. With Camnet TV app, you only use less bundles. Camnet TV, not just another channel.
Welcome back. Thank you for staying on. In international news, access to affordable, clean and safe water is an ongoing challenge among the poor communities in Rwanda. However, one company is helping to bridge the gap by purifying groundwater and then selling it to locals at an affordable price. The Nyabugogo River is an important water source for the local population. The river that winds its way round the land near the capital Kigali can only be used by families for washing and cleaning. Here's a roundup of international news.
Although the Nyabugogo River near the capital Kigali in Rwanda is an important source of water, the local people can only use it for washing and cleaning. The river water, however, is not conducive for human consumption and alternatives are hard to come by, putting the population at risk of waterborne diseases.
Yeah, actually it's a challenge. Yes, I do agree it's a challenge because we need water in so many daily activities. We need water for drinking, we need water for household activities, we need water for irrigation, we need water for hydropower generation, we need water for so many activities. But the water that is used by our population is less if we compare with other countries.
The solution to this problem is to have the water treated by commercial companies or sinking boreholes in search of clean water. But the cost is too high for the poor communities to afford. However, companies like Iriba are trying to make clean water and safe water accessible to everyone.
The motive of our work is to serve the underserved, to give them affordable access to clean water, like clean water that they can easily access, they can easily afford.
Iriba has a plant in Kigali for purifying groundwater, and workers test the liquid to make sure it is safe for human consumption. Kirimonko Market is a typical area where low-income communities work and shop. It is here that Iriba has set up one of its water kiosks. I have a hard job that requires me to drink water regularly. I can afford to buy 1,000 franc bottle with what I earn, whereas here I pay 100 francs. These kiosks help us a lot when we are thirsty. We come here and we quench our thirst. According to UNICEF, less than 50% of Rwanda's population has access to clean drinking water within 30 minutes of their homes.
US consumers had been warned they would pay the price for sanctions against Russia, and so they are. The price of gas at the pumps has increased by nearly $1, some 20%, since the Russian invasion of Ukraine. It's risen 47% in the past year. And President Biden has announced a series of measures to bring some relief to the US consumer, including a release of 1 million barrels a day from the Strategic Petroleum Reserve.
This is a wartime bridge to increase oil supply until production ramps up later this year. And it is by far the largest release of our national reserve in our history. It will provide a historic amount of supply for a historic amount of time, a 6-month bridge to the fall.
Republicans dismiss the move as politically motivated.
The reserve is supposed to exist for giant unforeseen crises, such as a war between great powers. It's not there so that anti-energy politicians whose policies have raised gas prices can try to hide that from the public.
This is just one of a multi-pronged approach to easing the oil crisis. The president is also invoking the Defense Production Act to ease supply chain issues that have hindered the drive to promoting clean energy. For example, removing the bottleneck in the supply of components like lithium, essential to the development of electric vehicles. The president also had harsh words for some oil companies that he says are seeking to profit from the crisis.
For U.S. oil companies that are recording their largest profits in years, they have a choice. One, they can put those profits to productive use by producing more oils, restarting idle wells, or producing on the sites they already are leasing, giving the American people a break by passing some of the savings on to their customers and lowering the price at the pump. Or they can, as some of them are doing, exploit the situation.
And in a controversial move, he's called on Congress to penalize companies that lease federal land but are not drilling on it. President Biden says the U.S. has a history of seeking opportunity in crisis, and the long-term aim is to make the country oil independent by increasing traditional production and by further developing clean energy resources. The political reality is that to achieve the long-term aim, the president's party would have to retain control of Congress. And that is likely to be determined by whether the short-term aim of reducing gas prices by the time of midterm elections in November is achieved. Mike Hanna, Al Jazeera, Washington.
We got straight into sports news. SPURS boss Antonio Conte doubts Champions League qualification. Tottenham qualifying for next season's Champions League would be a miracle, according to manager Antonio Conte. SPURS are fifth in the Premier League and will go fourth, the last of the qualifying places, with a 2-goal win at home against Newcastle on Sunday. Tottenham played in the Champions League in 4 successful seasons from 2016-2017 to 2019-2020. Losing 2-0 to Liverpool in 2019 final. But last season they were in Europa League, and for these champions they were in third tier Europa Conference League, and with Conte in charge lost 2-1 to Slovenian sides in the group phase. COVID-19 cases at Tottenham meant they could not play their last group match in December, with Rennes awarded an automatic 3-0 victory, a result that eliminated Conte's side from European competition. The Italian, a Premier League winner when in charge of Chelsea, and Serie A champions with Inter Milan, replaced former boss Nuno Espirito Santo in November, with Tottenham 8th in the Premier League, 5 points behind 4 places West Ham. Well, that item brings us to the end of our news. The headlines once again. Government denies abandoning its promises as citizens lament over the hike of fuel prices. The United Party for National Development Alliance justifies deepening wrangles. The Patriotic Front charges that the UPND is not ready to serve the people. In international news, Rwanda making groundwater safe and accessible to the locals. In sports, SPURS boss Antonio Conte doubts Champions League qualification. We now look at the Camnet verse of the day. It's coming from Ephesians 6 verse 11 to 12, and it reads: Put on the full armor of God so that you can stand against the tactics of the devil. For our battle is not against flesh and blood, but against the rulers, against the authorities, against the world powers of this darkness, against the spirit forces of evil in the heavens. Well, thank you so much for watching Camnet TV. My name is Sharon Kalimbula. Good night.